Are you sick of studying for hours only to forget literally everything? Do you feel like school, lectures, and memorizing stuff is a complete waste of time? It's boring, it doesn't work, and it makes you feel like you're not smart. Well, what if I told you that one of the biggest literary geniuses of the 20th century, Virginia Woolf, became a genius without ever going to college? While her brothers went to a fancy university, she was left behind. So she built her own education from scratch using her dad's library, and her study secrets were so powerful, they literally revolutionized literature. In this video, I'm giving you the 5 secret methods she used to build her insane brain. Throw out your flashcards. This is how you study like a true genius. Number 1, embrace radical autonomy. Secret number 1, and the foundation for everything, is radical autonomy. Virginia Woolf had no teachers, no syllabus, and 0 exams. Her entire education was a personal mission, driven by one thing: unstoppable curiosity. She had a crazy head start with unlimited access to her famous father's massive library. But she didn't just copy him. She took his knowledge and built something 100% original. For Woolf, learning was a battle. She read every book with a pen in her hand, not to underline, but to argue with the author, to question everything, and to connect ideas across centuries. Her notebooks weren't just notes, they were an active war zone of ideas. She turned reading into an active creation. And this wasn't a hobby. For decades, she was a professional book reviewer for huge publications. This wasn't for a grade. This was a real-world challenge that made her thinking and writing skills razor sharp. It's how she went from just a girl with a pen to a world-changing professional. So how do you apply this? Stop waiting for a teacher to give you a syllabus. Design your own. Ask yourself this one critical question: what am I genuinely curious about right now? Build a reading list around that single question. Then block out time every single day to go all in, just like Woolf wrote every single morning. Let your curiosity be your only guide. Read with a pen and turn your notes into an epic conversation. The goal isn't just to swallow information, it's to dominate it. Number 2, hunt for moments of being. Method number 2 is to hunt for what Woolf called moments of being. Woolf said that most of life is just non-being. It's like being wrapped in boring cotton wool, where the days just blur together and you remember nothing. But every once in a while, something pierces through that cotton wool. That's a moment of being. It's a massive shock, a huge discovery, a revelation where you feel 100% connected to reality. For Woolf, studying was about creating and capturing these insane moments.
This is basically the 20th century version of what we now call deep work. It's about reaching a state of complete focus, where you destroy all distractions and the hidden patterns of the universe start appearing to you. She didn't treat books like homework. She treated them like an obsession. She once wrote, "I think heaven must be one continuous, unexhausted reading." This passion fueled her insane focus. For example, she decided to master ancient Greek. She didn't just memorize words, she dove into the texts, lived inside the minds of the ancient writers, and didn't come out until they were a part of her. She didn't get a grade, she got a deep, personal connection to a whole new world. That is a moment of being. To do this, you have to be absolutely ruthless with distractions. Set aside time where nothing can interrupt you. When you read, don't just skim for facts. Hunt for the real thing behind appearances. Ask yourself, what is the real secret here? What is the hidden connection? Attack your subject with the intensity of a detective solving a crime or an artist creating a masterpiece. The goal isn't to know a subject, but to experience it. Secret number 3 is creative iconoclasm. An iconoclast is someone who attacks popular beliefs. Woolf did this with pure creative genius. She's famous for inventing the stream of consciousness writing style, which was a crazy break from the boring, normal novels that came before her. So why is this a study method? Because stream of consciousness isn't just a writing trick, it's a powerful tool for thinking. Woolf knew that our brains are chaotic. Our thoughts aren't a straight line. They're a crazy, messy explosion of memories, feelings, and ideas. By inventing a writing style that was just as chaotic, she could explore what it means to be human in a way no one had ever done before. She cared more about what it felt like to be alive than just listing events in order. This requires you to question everything. It asks you to not just accept an idea, but to rip it apart and see how it works from the inside. Take a complex idea you're trying to learn. Set a timer for 10 minutes and just free write. Use stream of consciousness to get every single thought in your head onto the page. Don't stop, don't censor, and don't worry about grammar. Let your brain make insane, messy connections. You will be shocked at the original ideas you uncover when you let your brain off its leash. This is how you go from just knowing something to truly understanding it. Study hack number 4. Build an interdisciplinary mind. Virginia Woolf was a key member of the Bloomsbury Group, a super team of geniuses that had the world's best economist, a legendary biographer, and a game-changing artist. These weren't boring parties. They were intellectual battle royales. They would get together and fiercely debate everything from art and politics to philosophy. This constant clash of ideas was her secret weapon. By arguing with economists and painters, she could see the world through a dozen different perspectives at once, which gave her superpower-level insights. Her private study habits were exactly the same. Her notebooks are proof. You can see her connecting completely different fields, dropping quotes from a poet next to notes on Greek classics, or linking literary analysis with her personal diary. She knew that the most innovative ideas come from smashing different fields together. The lesson for you is huge. Break down the walls in your own learning. If you're studying science, go read poetry. If you're studying history, learn about the art from that same period. If you're a programmer, read about psychology. Actively hunt for the connections. In your notes, don't just summarize a topic. Ask, how does this idea from economics connect to that concept in psychology? Or how does this art style reflect what was happening in politics at the time? Building an interdisciplinary mind isn't about being an expert in everything. It's about being flexible enough to see the world from 1,000 angles, which lets you generate ideas that people stuck in one field will never find. And the 5th and final method is her most personal and maybe her most powerful, using a journal as a reflective crucible. For over 40 years, from when she was a teenager until 4 days before she died, Virginia Woolf kept a diary. But this wasn't a Dear Diary journal. This was a scientific laboratory for her brain. She said journaling helped to loosen the ligaments of her writing. She would free write for 15 or 20 minutes a day, practicing her skills in a low-stakes environment to get faster and stronger for her professional work. Her journal was also a tool for thinking about her own thinking. She would reread her past entries to track her own progress and see how her ideas had leveled up over time. She even used physical hacks. She would stitch new pages into old books to create custom notebooks and use different colored pens like they were special abilities. She made personal indexes for the books she read, with page numbers, quotes, and her own hilarious reactions. These weren't just notes. They were the living record of a genius-level brain at work. This is the easiest method for you to start. I challenge you, start a daily journaling habit, even for just 15 minutes. Use it like Woolf did, as a laboratory. Don't just write what you did, process what you learned. Try to explain a hard concept in your own words. Argue with an author you're reading. Connect an idea from a podcast to your own life. And the most important part, reread your journal. This final step is what turns raw information into pure wisdom. It lets you see the patterns in your own thinking, so you can take control of your own intellectual journey. So there you have it, the 5 insane methods Virginia Woolf used to build her genius. So the next time you feel trapped by boring schoolwork, remember Virginia Woolf. Remember that the most powerful learning tools aren't in a classroom, they're already inside you. Your curiosity, your focus, your skepticism, your creativity, and your ability to reflect. This is Peak Razor. Let's build productivity systems that win daily.